What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. And Tulsi Gabbard, she who was one of the biggest Bernie supporters back in the day, back in that magical 2016 run.
It's with this clear choice in mind that I'm resigning as vice chair of the DNC so that I can strongly support Bernie Sanders as the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
Is now doing speeches alongside Matt Walsh. What is going on nowadays?
There are a lot of you who are here who may be able to relate. Women here. I grew up a tomboy. I thought the boys were having all the fun. I cut my hair short. I wanted nothing more than to be a boy because it was cool and it was fun. But guess what? Life moved on. I moved on and I grew up.
I'm here for it. Yesterday, she was in Nashville, yesterday as of this recording, and she joined thousands of fellow Americans. This is from her Substack. This is in her own words, on the steps of Tennessee State Capitol to take a stand to protect the most vulnerable and innocent among us, our kids. When you're principled, when you stand for something, it doesn't matter who you need to stand with, as long as on that topic, you agree. So she's not afraid to stand on the stage with that Matt Walsh and say, we agree on this. Do you think that she agrees and Matt Walsh agree on everything? Absolutely not. Why was she on that stage? She was at the rally organized by Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire. He recently exposed some things that were going on with Vanderbilt University Medical Center. I'm not going into the details because that's not really the point of this video. So she's found out they've been doing this stuff. She looked into it and said, I agree. This shouldn't be happening. So I stand with you. Why are they so scared of Tulsi? Why do they care so much that Tulsi left the Democrat Party? Because she's not like Ye. You can't make her sound crazy. You can't make her sound stupid. You can't say she's bipolar. She was one of them, not only one of them, but somebody who would have been considered far left.
You know, I was 21 years old back in 2002 in Hawaii when very passionate about the environment. I decided to run for the state house in Hawaii, had never declared a political affiliation before then, and really started to think about which party do I want to, which box do I want to check on that form to file my election papers. And looking at the history of the Democratic Party, especially in Hawaii, I was inspired by leaders who were fighting for plantation workers who were working under terrible conditions, inspired by national leaders like Martin Luther King, President JFK. And I saw a Big Tent inclusive Democratic Party that welcomed people who held views across the spectrum on the biggest issues of the day, who stood up for civil liberties, who stood up for free speech. And it made sense to me to join the Democratic Party. The Republican Party in Hawaii especially had been the party of the elite, the party of the rich and powerful. And I was interested in being a part of a party that was fighting for the people and fighting to protect our environment. Fast forward over the years, you look back at when I ran for president in 2020, really living through what we are seeing now in like high definition and in extreme, which is how this Democratic Party of today that's controlled by fanatical ideologues through that presidential campaign as a Democratic candidate for president, they attempted to limit my ability to speak to voters, limit my exposure, and actively sought to undermine and smear my character and credibility in my campaign. This has not stopped. Anytime the Democratic Party leaders see someone that challenges their narrative, that questions the policies they're putting forward, rather than just saying, you know what, hey, I disagree with her, and here are the reasons why. Instead, they take those tactics of smear, destroy, cancel, work with big tech to censor because they don't stand for freedom. They don't believe in the Constitution and are actively seeking to undermine our God-given rights enshrined in the Constitution, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. They want to control the way we think. They want to control what information we see. And it got to a point where this is a party that I can no longer associate myself with because of the danger and threat that it poses to our country, to our democracy.
She's very articulate. That's the danger. Destiny says this a lot, where he says, if the left has this purity test and the right, talking about Maga, If the right says, hey, you are against the establishment, as long as you don't think I'm evil, we can team up, then what happens is the establishment loses power, because anyone who's a disaffected liberal, even like a Bill Maher or Tim Pool or whoever else, you are now MAGA, whether you like it or not. So Tulsi Gabbard, come on over.
Most conversations like that, whether it's online and it's happening directly, or whether it's in real life and it's more indirect, there's other people kind of listening that I think can be swayed more easily than the two people in the conversation. When I do online stuff, I call this like the 40-40-20 rule, right? 40% of people on both sides are hard dug in and they're never moving on a position, but there's this kind of like 20% in the middle who are like, oh, you know, I could go either way. And then to that, I would refer back to my prior statement that if you've got people on the left that are saying, I'm not engaging with you, I don't need to, it's not my job to educate you, and people on the right saying, oh my God, come check out PragerU and all these great channels, we'd love to educate you, that the people in the middle are always going to be like, oh, okay, well, these guys on the right seem more open to conversation, so I'm going to trust them more than the people on the left that are trying to shut it all down.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from with that.
Andrew Yang said, the thing I don't like about certain people on the progressive, or what a lot of us call the regressive side now, is if you agree with them on 20 things, you're good. 20 out of 20 things, you're good. If there's one out of those 20 things you disagree with, now you're not in the club anymore. You are this, you are that. You don't get that same thing from the populist right. It is the true diversity. And I hate to say I told you so, but I'm going to tell you I told you so. What you're seeing with Tulsi is MAGA communism. That's the phrase that Jackson Hinkle kind of promoted, made up. You see MAGA, not that Matt Walsh is MAGA, but it represents someone who's basically more on the right. Communism isn't what you think communism is. All it is in this context means somebody that's more leaning left, populist right. We can get together and we can make America great again. Tulsi's not afraid of that statement.
We're not even talking about anything new. We had a point in our country, a point of actually very great social and economic mobility. It is an interesting. It is kind of an interesting thing. Like when Donald Trump tapped into this idea of "Make America Great Again," there was times of economic opportunity. Wages rose until the 1970s, and I think. It sounds like so controversial to say, but I think it is important that we do look back at times of great social and economic mobility. And what a lot of our current debate distracts from right now is cost of living and economics. The fact that it is so much harder to raise a family on one or two incomes now than it was 30 years ago. That was the time when we went to the moon. That was the time when Americans could afford a home. That was a time when people could afford to have a spouse raise their children and the other spouse help make ends meet.
Tulsi, back in the day, sat with Bernie, loved Bernie's policies. You know, she stumped for Bernie. Now she's with Matt Walsh. She is for a single payer health care plan. Basically Medicare for all in a different way, where you would still keep a private option.
Now, we'll be releasing a detailed plan soon, but in short, the healthcare plan that I would look to implement as president, I see more as a single payer plus plan. Medicare for all, unfortunately, is a term that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Under my plan, we would ensure quality healthcare for every single American automatically. And if you, Randy, if you decided that you wanted to go out, you had a few extra bucks in your pocket, you wanted to go get a private insurance plan on top of that, that's up to you. But we have the opportunity to be able to bring down the cost of healthcare in this country by getting big insurance and big pharma away from charging exorbitant amounts of money, benefiting their profits on the backs of sick people, and instead ensuring that every single American gets the care that they need.
Matt Walsh doesn't agree with that. Does that matter? No, of course not. We can still share the same stage when it comes to protecting kids. I have two takeaways from this. Number one, do you believe me now when I said if we had true progressives, true people on the left in DC or wherever in the circles you're at, that we could work together even though we don't agree on everything? Tulsi's proving that. The reason why we don't work together in DC on anything is because we have corporate shills versus populists. But if you have real people on the left, you can get together and work on stuff. Kim Iverson, Jimmy Dore, and all those likes. People try to knock Tulsi Gabbard about, well, it's all for promotion. She has a podcast coming out. It's all politics. Oh, hell yeah, it's politics. How do you think people are going to win? The establishment plays propaganda, grift, politics. You're not going to win unless you play it on your side also. That's why I have this shirt, sweater. You have been promoted to Ultra Maga. Tulsi, what size do you need? I'll get you one on the house. Or you can just go to middlemaga.com and go to the store, get one. Let me know what you think. Do you embrace MAGA communism if what Tulsi is doing right now defines it? Take care.